Thank you for joining the Professional Quotient podcast, Conversations that Build Equity. These conversations are meant to really lift people up and help them put their best foot forward in the professional world. And it's brought to you by our sponsor, MarketScale, who does the same thing for companies around the globe, helping them put their best foot forward by turning their subject matter experts into content creators. So be sure to check them out. And now, we are going to have a conversation that builds equity with a very special guest. Welcome to Professional Quotient. I'm Jason Winningham, your host, and today we have a very special guest, Katie Owen. Katie, would you please, first of all, thank you for coming on the show. Would you like to introduce yourself to us?
Definitely. First, thank you for having me. And one of the things that I love about you, Jason, is that you are really interested in people's stories, and you feel that people's stories, that other people can gain inspiration from them, can learn from them. And I just love the format of your podcast. So thank you very much for having me. I'm excited to share my story with you.
Thank you so much. That's awesome.
Yeah,
that's very nice 100%.
To hear.
Yeah.
So I am a 25 plus year entrepreneur. I spent the last 22 years helping people enroll and understand insurance, focusing on health insurance, life insurance, and most recently, Medicare. And I lead a team of agents. And I am an award-winning agent, team leader. Also, I'm a self-published author and also a passionate speaker. So I do a few things. People are always like, "What? How do you have time for everything?" I figure it out. But on a personal note, I've been married 26 years, and we have a 23-year-old and a 19-year-old. And what's funny is I grew up in California, married a Texan, so I've been here 23 years, and our kids decided to go to college in Oklahoma and Arkansas. Go figure.
So your family is Southern at this point.
They are, but I love being here. Of course, I'm one of the people that says I got here as fast as I could. And truly, my passion is taking very complex things and making them simple, whether it's for my agents, my clients. That really is my passion.
Well, it sounds like it would have to be if you're helping people understand insurance, because I feel like insurance is one of those, it's Greek or a foreign language to so many. I said Greek because of the whole it's Greek to me euphemism or saying, but yes, it is one of those things where so many people look at all the language and they're just overwhelmed. And so I was kind of curious, like, are you a natural code breaker? Do you like diving deep and trying to figure out the complex?
Actually, I am. It's funny that you would call it code breaking. Okay. I actually never thought about it like that. I always think that I come to things from a very strategic point of view, and my natural inclination is to look at something and figure out how I can build a system to make it work better, to make it organized. Yeah, I really do enjoy the complex and then making it simple.
Awesome. What would you describe as the field that you're in? Would you say that's just healthcare? Would you say that's insurance? How would you describe that?
First and foremost, insurance, right? So as a licensed life and health insurance agent, I can talk to people about all things insurance in that realm. Please don't ask me to talk to you about your home insurance or auto insurance. I will commiserate with you that the rates are way too high, but I don't know how to quote it and I'm not licensed to do it. So definitely insurance. And then because I lead a team of agents and I just have a personal passion to help business owners, I also see myself as a coach, as a trainer, and I roll that in with what I do.
Mm-hmm. So when you say you have agents, that means you supervise these agents, you train them, you get them going, like they're your team?
So they're my team, but they're all 1099, which means really they are building their own individual businesses, but they roll up underneath my organization, and I help them with training. I help them with resources. I basically get them off to a great start, but they're really building their own businesses, but they're not on their own. A lot of insurance agents get into insurance, and it's so sad. They're recruited, they're told all these big, great, grand stories, and then it's like they're drop kicked to the world, and they're basically told, go sell something. And they're like, how do you want me to do this? And it was crazy. I was training some new agents last week, and one of my agents said, Katie, I learned more from you in 4 hours than I learned in the last 2 years with another insurance company. So,
well, that's a good testament to you and your training and what you're offering, for sure. It sounds similar to in the real estate world, where you can be a salesperson and you have a broker that can do your training and make sure you're up to date, and they house your license. Is that something similar where you kind of hold their license? Or I don't know how the insurance world works.
So you can be an insurance agent and what we call captive, and you can work for a big insurance company or even for a broker, but they hold all your contracts. But that's not what I do. So each individual agent has their own licensing, their own contracts. They just contract with me in the upline with the different insurance companies. So I do make a small override on the policies they sell. Sure. But for all intents and purposes, it is 100% their business. And if they wanted to leave my organization tomorrow, they could.
So they're empowered with what they're doing. That's cool. That's very cool. And you also mentioned that you're an author. Well, first, let me step back. Before we go into that, what does the typical day look like for you in your role with the insurance? And then I definitely want to get into author.
So the thing I like best about my business is there is no typical day. Every day is different. You learn early on that every single appointment on your calendar could get rescheduled on a dime, could cancel. So you've got to be really good at the pivot, and you have a list of things to do. And if a time block opens up, you just move something else into it. But basically through the week, it's a combination of helping clients. I educate them, enroll them, service their policies. For my agents, I'm training, I'm supporting, I'm helping them with client cases. And then I do have some coaching clients that I coach. I help them with different challenges they're having in their businesses. And then I get personal coaching. So I've got 2 coaches I've invested in to help me with my personal growth and business growth. Also, I'm creating content. I created what's called the agent back office for my agents so that 24/7 they can go and access. I think I've got over 75 training videos over there. I've got over 125 documents. So they can access that anytime. And I'm constantly creating new content for that. I stay kind of busy.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I don't think a lot of people realize just how much time and effort goes into even the simplest of content. Even short videos can take quite a long time of prepping, planning, staging, filming, editing, you name it. And so that having 75 things in your library, your resource there, that's a lot. And that shows that you're really passionate about really helping. So that's very cool. Thank you. Yeah. And that whole having something different every day, that is certainly attractive to some. I know everybody's different. So some people like that consistency. It sounds like if they want to do what you do, that would not be for them. If they appreciate a diverse day and not a consistent day, insurance would be the way to go.
Absolutely. Yeah. You cannot be somebody who just likes to do the same thing every day. You would probably not last longer than about 3 months in this. It would drive you crazy. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
So good. And then now let's please switch over to being an author. Like what led you into wanting to share a story out there, or not a story, share your words and your thoughts out there and your insight?
Well, I never thought I would write a book. Okay. I didn't set out. It wasn't one of those goals I wrote when I was 10. I just started a few years back. I started looking in the mirror and not liking what I saw and realizing that it was time to lose weight. In fact, I was at a birthday party with some girlfriends of mine, and you always take a picture after, well, girls do. I don't know about guys, but girls do. We always take a group.
Try and get out of the pictures, but yeah.
So we always take a picture after the, the party, the lunch, whatever it is. And if you're smart and you're heavy, you stand in the back and you kind of hide and peek out. Well, I didn't do that day. Mm-hmm. And the picture was on my phone and I had to send it to the group so they could post it. And I was mortified. I looked much heavier even than I was. And holy moly. And I thought to myself that day, Katie, you have two options. You can either, do something about it, or get over yourself, because it's not fair for you to ask your friends not to post pictures just because you don't like how you look, So I decided I was going to start losing weight. And as I was losing weight, my friends were asking me what I was doing. And I was doing something most people aren't willing to do, which was I was making smoothies. They were super healthy and packed full of protein and nutrients and all that good stuff. But most people aren't going to live their life on smoothies. I was doing 3 smoothies a day. But I gave them my recipes. And then more and more people, especially my clients, my Medicare clients, started sharing with me their weight loss. And they, and they would share with me, oh, I lost 100 pounds, or I lost 300 pounds, or I lost 50 pounds. And like you, I believe in sharing people's stories. And so I thought, I don't want to write a book about my story, because most people will look at what I did and go, no, thanks. So I actually interviewed 8 other people and asked them their stories, how they did it, why they did it, their challenges, their hacks. And I ended up putting this all together in a book called Losing 50 After 50, because I was past 50 when I lost more than 50 pounds. And the book really it's not a diet. It's very clear that it's not a diet. And I actually got a book review and the gal was like, I was looking for a diet. And I'm like, you didn't read the book, because all over the book, I say, this is not a diet. You've got to create your own plan. You've got to create what works for you, but take it from the different people profiled and figure out what will work well for you.
Absolutely. We can learn so much from each other. Like, why reinvent the wheel or go through a harder path if we can find somebody who's pointing to the easier path, or
Amen,
one that works?
Brother. All day long. Yeah.
Awesome. So that was neat that you were able to really talk with different people and incorporate their stories into your book.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Everybody has their own chapter and they're all profiled. I've got a website by the same name. Everyone profiled in the book. That we've got their before and after pictures on the website. It's really fun.
Oh, yeah. Very cool. And since publishing that, what would you say has been something that maybe surprised you that you didn't know when you started off to publish, like that you would have to do as an author, or what was that journey like to being published? With Medicare looming, that's the fourth quarter craziness. Even any insurance agent in life and health insurance will tell you fourth quarter is nuts. So I gave myself an impossible deadline, and I figured out how to work with people, graphic designers on Fiverr. I figured out the editor on Fiverr. I figured out how to self-publish. I figured out how to make it an Amazon bestseller. It was wild to go through the process, and I did it all by myself. I did read an amazing book called Published, and can't remember the author name, but he goes start to finish on how to do a book. And I'm one of those people that you just tell me how to do it. I'll do it. Like, I'll do it. And so
And then he talks about doing a launch team. So I created a whole launch team and got people on board to read my book and give me reviews. And that was a crazy fun experience. And toward the end, I had a good friend reach out to me and she's like, oh, I wasn't thinking about the fact that you're writing your own book and publishing your own book. I have a friend that's a publisher that, you know, maybe they could help you. And honestly, at that point, I was like 90% done. And I was like, no, you're not, no publisher is going to take that away from me. I want to self-publish. I want to go through to the end to see what this is really like. Oh, and the other really fun thing I did is I recorded the whole book for Audible. Like I read it myself. And so I will tell you, it is so funny to be driving my car and seeing my book cover pop up on the screen and listen to me read my book. That has been so funny. And it actually took me a couple years, about a year and a half from the time I published the Audible book to actually listen to the whole thing. Because I mean, honestly, who wants to listen to themselves, read to themselves?
It's hard. That's hard. Yeah. You know, I could see it, you know, especially with something that's like a self-affirming message, or like I could see that as like almost like self-hypnosis. Like maybe it's better if it's in my voice for this message. But I have listened to a few of the podcast episodes that have been published to kind of check on quality and whatnot. But I do not just play them in the car. I am one of those people that really can't stand to hear their own voice. So I'll share it with the world, but I'm not going to share it with myself too much.
I've heard actors are the same way. They won't even watch their own movies.
I bet.
Yeah.
I bet. Now, ironically, I have, as I shared with you before we hit record on this, I have been turning a lot of podcast messages into song, and some of those that I have shared, I am singing along in the background or on it because I wanted to really make sure it was mine. But you know, it's a little easier because there's other voices in there as well that I can kind of mentally focus on.
I won't listen to me. I'll listen to them.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll sing along with me because I'm singing over me, but but no, I imagine that is a really cool feeling to have it published and then to see like what you were saying in your car, to see that cover pop up. That's cool. That's a neat sense of accomplishment, I would imagine. It
is.
So do you kind of pinch yourself sometimes like, wow, I've done this?
Well, I do. But you know what's funny is until you've written a book, it seems monumental. Like, oh, I could never do that. And then once you've done it, you're like, you know, I mean, yeah, it took a lot of work, but it wasn't that hard. Like people have stories. People need to share their stories. People should write and publish that book. And I'll run across people who are like, oh, I've got a book in me, or I've got a book on my computer. I just don't know what to do with it. And I just, you know, I encourage them, do it. Just do it. Buy this book called Published and figure it out, or hire somebody to help you, you know? So, but of course, now that I've done one, I'm like, I think I want to do another one on a totally different subject.
Neat. Awesome. Have you already started it, or is it still in brainstorming mode? I'm just curious. You don't have to tell us all the details if you don't want to. But.
Well, what's kind of funny is, so with me really geeking out on helping business owners with systems, I've started taking some of my trainings, transcribing them and throwing them into AI, and then asking AI, how would you put this in book format? It's my stuff. So at that point, like, I have no issue using AI because it's my content.
Absolutely.
And so I've started working on that a little bit. But it's so funny. I was talking to someone about the title and I was like, it's about business systems. I'm like, that's not sexy. Nobody's nobody wants to
Yeah.
pick up a book
Yeah.
about business systems. And she was like, well, it's not sexy, but it's, it's necessary. And I'm like, well, true. And so I'm still playing with the title, but I really,
I feel like there's an audience there no matter what the title is, because that is something that will be helpful. So maybe it doesn't need a sexy title in order to be, but I'm interested to see how that will play out and what you'll
thank
end up
you.
choosing.
Thank you. I'll
So that's
definitely let
fun.
you
Yeah.
know.
Uh-huh. And let me
Mm,
ask you this too. Did anybody influence you to get into insurance or to be an
yeah.
author? Like somebody specific that you just really were watching and saying, I want to do that too? Or how did you get into it?
Well, the way I got into insurance, funny story, when my husband and I moved to Texas, we had no jobs lined up. He had just been given a severance package and laid off. And we were like, hey, this is our open opportunity to move to Texas. So we had an agreement. If you can't find a job, I'll find a job. Because at that point, our daughter was less than a year old. And of course, I thought I wanted to be a stay at home mom and found out that I'm really not the baby mom. I'm more of like the teenager mom. And so I was like, So when the time came and it was time for Katie to look for work because Bill hadn't landed anything. I mean, that's when telecom was drying up and, it's just really tough out there. I actually put out 30 resumes and was looking for sales because that was my background. And only 2 companies responded. And honestly, I was a little put off. I was like, my resume is stronger than that, but sign of the times. So one of them was financial services in a business to consumer environment, and the other was Aflac in a business to business environment. And I really liked the business to business aspect. And so I did something a little unorthodox. When they called me for an interview, I asked if I could interview in the field on a sales call. Because my experience was you get into these interviews and they just start telling you, oh, it's this, it's that. You can make all this money and people are eating out of your hands. And then you get to reality and it's not that way at all. So I wanted to know, is this a sale that I'd be comfortable making? And the gal was awesome. She was like, absolutely. I've got an appointment tomorrow. You can meet me there. So I went with her, and within 15 minutes, she had this guy eating out of her hand. And I was like, sign me up. So a week later, I had my insurance license, and my husband got licensed with me because, he wasn't doing anything at the time. But about a month in, we realized cold calling just really wasn't his thing. So we decided to do the role reversal. He stayed home. He was a stay-at-home dad, and I built the insurance business. And 22 years later, I'm still here. So that's how I got into insurance.
I love that. Thank you for sharing that. That's so fascinating that you were able to just go on there and then just find that this is going to work. And I love that even if it didn't work out for your husband, that he tried to get into that as well, and that you were both able to make a good way to make your family situation work as well. Because that's its own challenge. That could be its own podcast, I'm sure.
Yeah, it knows 100% blessing because not only was he the baby daddy, but he's the baby daddy, right? He's wonderful with young children. And so it was wonderful that he was home when they were at their small little size.
Mm-hmm. That's super special for any child to be able to have that time with a parent in those crucial years. So that's very cool. When it comes to professional quotient, especially on this podcast, we define that as kind of how well we utilize our professional equity, meaning not equity, meaning like professional meaning kind of like financial equity, something you accrue and you keep. So we define that as our skills, our knowledge, our education, our experience, and the network of people. With all those things in mind, what would you say is something you value the most within your professional equity?
Well, kind of hearkening back to what I mentioned earlier, a lot of times in insurance, people are told how to do it, not what to do it. I'm sorry, what to do it, not how to do it. And because my superpower is building systems, it would drive me crazy when I would be in trainings and people would go through this whole training and then come to the end and basically say, okay, now you go figure it out. And I literally remember, especially in the Medicare space, you've got to work with doctors. It's just what you have to do. You've got to have relationships with doctors. And this one gal did this phenomenal training about how you reach out to doctors, what you say, what you present, the whole thing. And she said, and I'll send you these documents at the end of the training. Well, she didn't. So I followed up and she was like, oh, just create them yourself. And I was like, okay, I mean, I can. So I took about, 3 or 4 hours to create what I figured would be something similar to what she did. And then I got to thinking about it and I'm like, she has over 100 agents in her organization. She just lost 300 to 400 hours of productivity from all of the agents underneath her. And I just thought, really? So I feel like a huge value that I bring is I take the time to create what my agents need. And I build the systems, I build the strategy, and I share it. And I even go so far as to take my own logo off so my agents can just put their logo on. Like, I don't even make them remove my logo. So I feel like that's a huge superpower I have, that I can actually go into almost any situation and I can look at it and figure out what's working well, what isn't working well, how it can run better. And so it's like, plop me into any situation and I can do that for people, whether it's coaching small business owners and helping them figure out, where the deficits are in their business, and just a few. Sometimes all you need is just a couple, tweaks. Even with my agents on my team, the same thing. So I feel like that's my PQ.
Awesome. I like that. It harkens back to what in my head I called earlier code breaking, because to me, it's like you're going in and you're seeing this mysterious stuff and you're making it make sense for people, or at least you're helping it make sense for people. And it's a good connector of dots, or just a good collaborator, really, because you're working with people in order to help them move forward. And that sounds like an awesome thing to value within your PQ. So thank you for sharing that, Katie. Now, the other aspect within the professional world is that most of us have experienced challenges along the way. Are there any obstacles or challenges that you wouldn't mind sharing with us that you've had to overcome within your professional journey?
Definitely. So being in insurance, being a female, I'm in a very male-dominated industry. And so a lot of the training is done by men. And I love men. I'm married to one. I have a son. I have no issue against men. And if it was funny early on, I had this guy that we're friends to this day. I met him 22 years ago and he was on the same team. And I just wasn't closing business quickly, which made me so mad. And I asked him to go on an appointment with me that morning. And so I asked him to do the presentation. And he's one of those personality types that's like, meh, meh, meh. And so he was just, throwing out, telling, nah. And so that appointment ended, and then he had to go to another appointment. And then I met up with my mentor at the time for another appointment. And I got in there and she's like, do you want to do the presentation? And I said, sure. And I went, bam, 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 because of what I'd seen that morning. And she just looked at me. I knew she was thinking, what are you doing? And I just blew up this meeting. And And she thankfully like took it over. She's like, oh, okay, well, let me just add to that. And she was so sweet. And she did this, and that. And we walked out, and you know, you always talk to your mentor after an appointment. And she was like, what was that? And I was like, well, I was with, you know, so-and-so earlier in the morning, and he ran the appointment, and that's how he ran it. And she's like, absolutely not. She's like, that is his personality. That is not your personality. And so that was right around the time I was like, okay, all right, Katie, you don't need to be somebody else. You need to be yourself. Yes. You don't have to be a man. You don't have to be masculine. You can be feminine. And so I remember it was October, and I decided to dress up as a cat. And it was so funny. I wore a black wig, black ears, black turtleneck, black skirt, black stockings, black heels with like a 4-foot tail. And I decided to prospect companies that I had called on but hadn't had the appointment yet. So I'll never forget. So I was like, I'm just gonna change this up. Right. And I love dressing costume. Like I love costume, Halloween parties. We used to host Halloween parties all the time. And so I walked into this one business, and as a cat. And I was like, hi, I'm here to talk to Gary, the owner. And like, there were like all men there, and they were like, oh, really? And I'm like, oh my, they think I'm here not for business, but to do something else. And I'm like, no, business. I'm here for insurance. And they were like, oh, well, you know, he's not here, but you really need to talk to his wife. And I was like, okay. So I got her name and number, and I left. Then I ended up going to another client that I'd been calling on, and I walked in as a cat. And this is a marketing agency. And the owner took one look at me, and he goes, I don't care what you're selling. I will buy because you're willing to walk in here looking like that. And I was like, yes. And those 2 clients were 2 of my first 3 clients that I ever landed.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. That's awesome.
So I even have a picture. So, I mean, I decided early on, Katie, change it up. Don't try to fit into a masculine mold. And, you know, just be yourself. Infuse your own personality into this career. Don't try to be somebody else.
You embraced your authenticity for that. Absolutely. That's awesome. And I'm glad that worked out, because I think that it's true. And where people aren't really buying your product, they're buying you, basically. Like they're saying, I'm comfortable working with you. And that doesn't really happen when we're presenting a false persona or trying to be somebody that we're not. So I appreciate you sharing that. Oh yeah, instantly. Or if you're, you know, if you know, sales is such a tricky thing, because if you come on too strong to anybody, we're just going to instantly, I mean, even if, let's say like a toddler, even if it's food that they like that's on the spoon that you're moving to their mouth, if you go too quick, they're just going to go like this and push it away. But, you know, you kind of come in like, hey, you love this, you know, like we have a bond here. You trust the food I'm going to give you. Like, and those are things that I think sales, because of that nature with humans, to just push something away when it's coming too fast at us, you know, that creates a lot of challenges within a sales environment. And in fact, I was just talking with somebody yesterday who's buying a car this weekend, and she said, I'm nervous because I hate going on to a lot and then like everybody wants to sell me. And I have exactly what I want and my price, and I feel pressure. And so that's being able to be yourself in those meetings, whether you're a cat or a Katie, either way, like being able to be you, I'm sure makes all the difference and helps people feel confident and comfortable working with you. So that's awesome. Are there things that you continually do to raise your PQ?
Oh, goodness, yes. Yes, I love reading. So I love reading books. I love reading articles online. I love listening to books. I'm often listening to Audible or a podcast when I'm exercising in the morning or driving around town or doing dishes. I think those are great times to learn. I love your podcast. It's super fun to be on it. So thank you. I listen to Mel Robbins. She always has really interesting guests. I recently found Rocky Garza. He talks about being human and how people are really focused on, or how they focus on being human. I invest in higher level training. I invest in coaching. I attend conferences. In fact, I was thinking about it. I've actually attended 4 conferences so far this year, and I have 4 more to go. Yeah, you just, you got to get in the room with people who are rocking and rolling your career. And that's exactly what I've done. And actually, one of the biggest shifts this last year in terms of my self-education is I've really taken a deep dive into Dr. Joe Dispenza. I don't know if you're familiar with him. So he's all about your thoughts and beliefs affect your brain and body. And he talks about the neuroscience. He talks about quantum physics, meditation. And I've really made meditation a non-negotiable in my life. So I do it almost every single day. And I'm so much calmer. I'm so much more focused. And like last year during fourth quarter, I didn't have that eye twitch that usually starts for me in September. I didn't get sick between Christmas and New Year's. And he's got a great book. He's got a lot of great books. The one that I like to give people as a gift when they're brand new to his work is called You Are the Placebo. And it's fascinating. I mean, you know the saying from, I think it was Ford, who said, whether you think you can or think you can't, you're right. It's the same concept that it's all about your thoughts. And if you think you can't do it, well, then you can't, because that's what you're telling yourself.
Yeah, you close down that possibility.
Yeah. In fact, my husband and I attended his advanced week-long retreat this last April, and we both had massive breakthroughs. Mine was, I really need to give up control, or trying to be in control, and just kind of let things be how they're going to be. And the other thing was, I really came out of there deciding that I'm going to fulfill a lifelong dream and really focus on being a professional speaker and share what I have to share from the stage. Literally, that's been my dream since I was 8 years old. So, yeah.
Oh, awesome. Very cool. Very cool. So now I'm assuming that you are looking into how to fulfill that even more by even coming on podcasts like this, because you share your voice and your insight there as well, in addition to having a book. That's awesome. If somebody was watching you from the sidelines, Katie, and they're saying, oh my goodness, I want to be Katie when I grow up, what advice would you give them?
Well, if that's an awesome question. It's a 2-part answer. So if you want to be in insurance, first, check your pulse. Make sure that you are patient, that you are a self-starter, a self-taught person, that you can understand complex ideas, that you are a quick learner. I do see a lot of people over the years who've said, I want to be an insurance agent, and they get their license and then they get into it and they're like, oh, I can't do that, or I won't do that. And I try to really be honest with people up front. You're going to have to do this. I do not sugarcoat. I don't do it. And I will still have people join my team and then maybe 6 months later go, maybe this isn't for me. And I'm like, okay, not for everybody. So I would encourage them to talk to somebody and, hey, come talk to me, because I'll tell you the right way, whether or not it's something you should really consider. In terms of being a speaker, I always felt, and this is something that I've actually never admitted to anybody. So Jason, you're the first one to hear that.
We got the scoop.
It's a secret. I always assumed to be a speaker, it would have to be later in life when I had a whole lot of life under my belt and I could speak on a lot of topics, being an expert. And
sure,
I see people in their 20s, 30s, 40s knocking it out of the park and making a huge impact. And maybe they only have 5 or 10 years. Like,
sure,
I would say to somebody,
or no one specific thing that they're sharing. Yeah,
I would say to somebody, if you want to do that, just start. And it's not like I've never been on stages. I've absolutely been on stages over the years, but I've never focused on it as a business. And I would just encourage anybody that if you feel like you've got something to share, do not wait. There is no magic age that now you have something to share. No, everybody has something to share. And the other thing is, I have invested in a gal who is farther along than I am with her speaking career, who's made tens of millions of dollars. And she does have a program out there teaching people like me how to do it. So I am investing in somebody so that, to your point, I don't have to recreate the wheel. I can follow her best practices and make it happen faster. So no matter what you do, find someone who has what you want and follow them, and don't listen to the people that don't have what you don't want.
Right. Yes. Yeah. We don't have to listen to everybody on every, like we seek out those that are doing what we want to do. And that's really the mission of this podcast is not just to have episodes come out for no reason. It's to have them live as a resource so that if somebody is saying, I am interested in insurance, but I don't know that much. Hopefully they can go online and they can find this conversation and they can learn more from you and reach out to you and any of our other guests on their topics, and that's because I think, and really that's why I started this podcast, is because I don't know that much about what other people do. People will throw out titles or fields or what they, just things or jargon, and it's a mystery. And you can talk to somebody and they'll say, oh, I'm a project manager of this or that. Okay, well, what does that do? And so really hearing from people about that is one of the steps to building up our professional equity as listeners, because now we know just a little bit more about both being a speaker or author or insurance from this conversation particularly, and that can help arm us so that we can know the best ways to move forward if that's what we're interested in. So I appreciate you sharing that.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Absolutely. And before we wrap up this conversation, is there anything that you would like to spotlight or highlight or shine a light on?
Well, let me share 2 websites, because if there are people who would like to just chat with me about what it's like being an insurance agent, my insurance website is INSGAL. So it's short for insurancegal.com. I'd be more than happy to have a conversation with anybody that's thinking about, jumping into this industry. Then I'm super pumped that I launched my new business called Knockout Transformations. And that is for my speaking, coaching, training business. And I've got some upcoming things happening where I am going to be a featured speaker. I'm also working with people to put together systems so their crazy time of the business or crazy time of the year, works well for them. So I'm super pumped about that business as well. And I'm not giving up insurance. I still love it. I'm still going to help people. I'm just going to have multiple businesses, and that's okay. It's just the way I roll.
Absolutely. You're growing. That's awesome. Well, I certainly appreciate you spending your time with us and sharing your thoughts and your voice in this capacity. So thank you so much,
Thank
Katie.
you for having me.
Absolutely. And to our listeners, if you've enjoyed this conversation, please remember to like, share, subscribe, and leave a positive review. And then, of course, remember that unlike our IQ or our EQ, we can really easily raise our PQ every single day. Just keep learning, building, and connecting. Until next time.